Okay, so according to a study published by the National Census Bureau, 84% of the American population use the internet every day, whether it be to work, to talk to loved ones, or gather any sort of information. So the internet has become an increasingly important part of our everyday life, where we can communicate with each other instantaneously. You know, something that we haven't had access to prior to, like, even in the 80s or the times before that. So we have this special ability to browse the internet as we choose. You know, we can go to whatever websites we want to, we can go to YouTube whenever we want, we can look at Wikipedia anytime we want. And that is protected by what is called net neutrality. So currently this idea of net neutrality is being threatened by the FCC, and they want to repeal it to make way for the big internet service companies, ISPs for short, so that they can maximize profits and, you know, bring us drive our money. So today I'm going to highlight how important net neutrality is, and in doing so I'm going to tell you what it is, what the FCC's plans with it are, and how it's going to affect us. So in 2014, Obama recognized the internet as a vital utility of our everyday life, stating that the internet has become an essential part of everyday communication and everyday life. So he urged the FCC during his administration to put in place these laws that state that the internet should be free from control of the ISPs, allowing us, the citizens, to use the internet for whatever we want to use it for. And you can compare net neutrality to, if you can remember it back to high school, you can compare net neutrality to the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890, which prevented large corporations from becoming into giant monopolies to protect the consumers from extreme prices that they can set whenever they want. So essentially, net neutrality protects us, the consumer, and allows us to use the internet as we choose. I know I keep repeating myself over and over, but that's exactly how important it is. We, right now, have the ability to use the internet as we want. But the FCC is about to change that the other way, and they're about to allow these big ISPs to make decisions for us. So net neutrality, essentially what it does, it protects our rights to free speech. So the current FCC is led by a man named Ajit Pai, and he states that his new plan will allow consumers to buy the service plan that's best for them, and the entrepreneurs and other businesses can have the info they need to innovate. I went to the FCC website, and this is the actual publication of their new plan to repeal the net neutrality. They literally don't give you a clear explanation of their new plan. They just bag on the old plan, and they try to hand this off to us as beneficial. So if you take a look at what they say, you'll notice a lot that they refer to the big businesses, the big ISPs, and they refer very little to the consumers. So this all sounds kind of fishy, right? And to undermine the FCC and to show just how much controversy is in this, Ajit Pai, which is the head of the FCC appointed by Donald Trump, he used to be a former lawyer for Verizon. So there is some speculation that he is going to do this to gain some sort of position in Verizon later on once they have repealed net neutrality, so he can probably profit off of that. It's also been known that the cable companies have lobbied for this so that they can continue to profit and bring the consumers drive our money. So should the FCC move in and repeal net neutrality, we can expect our free internet to be pretty much gone. You can compare this new age that will be coming of internet to modern day cable. You know, if you turn on your TV and you go to your guide, you go to HBO or whatever, if you haven't subscribed to HBO, then you can't access it. Essentially, that's what's going to happen if net neutrality is repealed. The ISPs can control where you go, determining, you know, they can control how much you can see of the internet depending on what packages you purchase of the internet. So if you're somebody who likes to play video games online, you might have to pay for an online video gaming package. If you're somebody who likes to stream music, you might have to pay for that on top of what you're already paying for in your subscription. So according to Save the Internet, which is an association that backs net neutrality. The ISPs, since they will have control over the entire internet, they can control what firms will survive and what information you will see, which is an extreme violation of our freedom of speech. Essentially, that's the capitalist version of 1984. So if you're somebody who just used the internet in the past 5 minutes to look at Instagram, if you're somebody who has a Snapchat streak, if you're somebody who has used the internet to research your topic and do this assignment, you should be concerned, because that's about to vanish. We might have to pay even more money on top of our subscriptions to access the internet as we choose. So there's some actions we can take against this. First of all, I urge you guys to research this on your own. I know I only have 10 minutes to speak about this, but go out, look up the video on net neutrality, and arm yourself with that information. Second, share that information with everybody that you know. Share it with your friends, share it at the dinner table. Let everybody know just how important this is. Let everybody know that the FCC is planning to take out our rights to the freedom of the internet. Because I know for a fact we all enjoy that, you know? We all enjoy talking to one another. We all enjoy using iMessage whenever we want. But, and third, if it comes down to it, we might just have to protest against this because, again, it's a huge violation to our freedom of speech. Unfortunately, the country that we live in is going to be consumed by capitalism. It's being taken over by large corporations. So we, the people, need to start speaking up now before it's too late. And finally, if they do roll through with their repeal of net neutrality, we can probably just, as the people, we can unsubscribe to our internet providers. We might just have to go back to the way things used to be, go to the library to look at the book, just to show that we're not going to stand for this. But if you give these ISPs your money after this is through, they're just going to keep growing. And we have to stop them before it's too late. Thank you.
Copy and paste your video editor.
Yeah,
Fix the flowers.
The main argument too is that getting the part of the people getting control technically it's the government
Oh, yeah.
All right, Brian, what did you think?
So I liked how you started the preview with the statistic. I thought that was kind of like, when you're talking about the internet, I was like, okay, like, what is this going to be about? And then right when you said net neutrality, I was like, honestly, like hooked into it because it's so current and relevant, and it really is important, like, because we literally use the internet every day with everything, like you said in your speech. It's really clear on what you're talking about in the beginning, you know, like you pretty much just like guided us like with your 3 points that you were gonna touch on. I really liked how with like the internet service providers, how like any like little acronym or that you used in your speech, you let us like know what it was. That way like later on in the speech we could follow along with it, so that helped out a lot. I mean, you seemed comfortable up there, your eye contact was good, your voice was being projected, which is really good too, I was able to hear you. I personally would have liked, like when you talk about the FCC, like when they were bagging on the old plan, I kind of like wanted you to be like, give us a preview, like what were they saying, and you never did that, so I was kind of let down a little bit, but it was still good. I also feel like maybe like your points in your speech, like since you had a really strong stance, like it kind of got lost, so maybe it could have been organized a little bit better to really like persuade us to like go on and like really research it. I know like I was definitely like paying attention to it because like I've like you just been on it since it all started, but overall I thought it was really good. I liked it a lot, and good job.
Thank you.
All right, well, I thought that the opening was fine. There's a reasonable preview in the speech, although I don't think it stays as well organized as it needs to be, and it turns into a series of claims about net neutrality rules that I think need a lot more development here. It's kind of the alarmist version of all the bad stuff that's going to happen. I mean, the idea that, oh, free speech is going to end, or our ability to do X, Y, or Z is going to disappear. These are, that's hyperbole in making the argument. I think there are good arguments to be made that suggest that there are problems without having net neutrality rules in place, but your default position seems to be to the extreme version, and I think that undermines the case that you're presenting. I don't think it really helps you to argue against the FCC commissioner individually. I think you need a better argument against what the lack of the rules happens to be. In other words, there was a justification for why there wasn't neutrality rules in place 2 years ago, and now we have the rules. So the question is, what's better? What was problematic before? What's better now? And I don't have anything that talks about those kinds of things, except that, oh, well, this guy, he's probably looking for a job with Verizon down the road. Well, he's already had a job with Verizon, apparently, and I guess maybe he's looking for a better job for Verizon. That makes it sound like that's the only motivation for getting rid of the net neutrality rules. And I don't think that you are engaging in an argument here. I think you kind of, are, like I said, feeding the fear factor a little bit without necessarily analyzing what the issues are on that particular point. I did think that you did a very nice job speaking to the audience. I'd agree that the delivery is enthusiastic and you sound committed and passionate. I just think that you need to engage in an argument a little bit more rather than just some of the, like I said, hyperbole that I think goes along with this subject. All right, thank you.